All right, we are live. So today we have the Megan Goldsby, and she's in the chats at Seeking Genuine, which is hard for me to spell. And recently she was newbie, but I think she just changed her name back to Megan B. Goldsby. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So, why the change?
Oh, yeah. I think when I first entered this space, I sort of wanted to rebrand myself as being completely new to everything. And I still want to follow that philosophy. But since entering into the TLC space and people asking of my name, I felt like I could be that newbie essence, but with my, you know, given name. And so I'm happy to be using it in this arena.
What do people in the real physical space call you?
Um, it's really pretty rare for someone to call me Megan, which is my name. But I think my bosses and some of my coworkers in the past have called me Megan. But
Mhm.
generally speaking, most people, even my cousins on my mother's side and my uncle on my mother's side, they call me Goldsby, which is my last name.
Mhm.
Like they don't call my sister or my mom or my dad Goldsby, even though they hold that last name, just me. So most
Mhm.
people call me Goldsby.
All right.
Um, the only
I have,
unique one is my dad. He calls me Mego, but that's it. Yeah.
we'll leave that to him.
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna start with our traditional rando question, and I'll let you take the floor. Tell me about the home you grew up in.
Yeah. So I grew up in Northern Virginia, Nova. Um, just south of DC is normally how I tell that to people. But grew up in a household with me and my older sister, who is essentially like an Irish twin. She's like 13 months older than I am. Just me and her, and then my mom and my dad. Um, we I guess I would say I grew up in a pretty like competitive household. Most of what we did as a family were either around sporting events on the TV, around sporting events that my sister and I were involved with, or if we did have any like family sort of bonding, it was normally around going to sporting events or playing like games where sometimes I would even bet my allowance on the game. So if that speaks to the type of environment that I grew up in, that's a pretty good indicator. So a lot of like what I thought was like pretty like fun, healthy competition. When I got older, I think I realized that I was in a much more competitively driven space than any of my other friends.
Mhm.
Things just seemed to matter a lot more to me than they did everybody else. And I learned that pretty quickly. The most used adjective I think of me, other than like enthusiastic or loquacious when I was a kid, was intense. So
Mhm.
a lot of, just a lot of care. I'd like to say it was a lot of love, but who knows? This might have been perverse incentives there.
Mhm.
Um, but I guess my childhood was like, because when I think of my childhood home and how I grew up, I think of a lot of like outdoor independence. I don't know if kids do that anymore, where they go outside as soon as they come home from school and then come back inside once the lights are off. But that was kind of how I feel like I learned about the world, was going outside and playing these games and doing make believe and stepping on nails accidentally, like
Mhm.
being so with
Did
the
that
world.
happen?
I did. Yeah, that's how I learned what like a tennis shot was when I was in flip-flops in my backyard. So in my childhood home, we lived in townhouses, and then there was like this little, I don't know, field, I guess you could call it. If it's probably just like an acre of land, and then right behind there was just trees as far as you could see until you saw like a railroad. And we would just play in that little like forest area all the time. But people would go back there and like throw junk and stuff like that, probably. And I would always find little like 2x4s of wood, and we'd make like forts. But those 2x4s almost always had nails, rusty stuff in them. And I liked I was a swimmer, and so I was always either shoeless or wearing flip-flops. And this time I was wearing a flip-flop, and it went all the way through my heel.
Oh,
so. Yeah.
That sounds so painful.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't really remember the pain as much as like the worry on my parents' faces when they saw it. And they're like, "Oh, we need to go get another shot." I was like, "Okay, sure." But yeah, just like the outdoor, I don't know, make believe was like my childhood. It felt like, yeah, I guess that's and then I guess church, because we are talking about this sort of TLC space when I think of this type of discussion, and so I grew up in I guess you would say a Catholicism household. However, my dad did not practice Catholicism. He would sometimes go to church with me and my sister and my mom. But my mother grew up Catholic. Like she was, I don't know if this is like kosher or not, but she grew up on Long Island. She was a swimmer, like essentially like didn't see anyone of like another race until after she graduated from college. She went to St. Bonaventure. Like it was all very like, not sheltered necessarily, but to an extent. And so she was sort of like the guiding of our like religious practices. And that just happened to be grounded in Catholicism. And my sister and I would go with her every week, but because I can't do anything less than 110%, I was like always talking to all these people at church and make friends. And I was an usher and just was very like into that idea of church and what it meant to me, not just as, because I was a child, and so I wasn't paying attention to the sermons anyways, but like,
what did it mean to you? Like, why, you're like, I'm doing 110%. Like, what was that? What were you doing 110%?
I guess when I think about it, I get like really like warm. And I think what I experienced when I was a part of this like community was that I felt like I was always seen or remembered if I was there or if I wasn't there, or like, so a story I love is I was an usher, right? And so that's people that collect the money essentially for the church. And I would always be like in the same section. So I had at the same mass. So I always kind of saw the same people, but I didn't know anybody's name. And it's not like we wore name tags either. So like not a lot of these people knew my name either. But I remember just getting like this beautiful cross in one of the, when they passed the baskets in, that was like assigned to me as it was like our usher girl or something silly like that. And just getting like this, I don't know, just this piece of artwork that I could like wear around my neck for years, and it being like a gift from someone who had no idea what my name was, and that didn't matter. That was kind of like the essence of what church was for me. And so just feeling like I was a part of something and that I mattered in that something.
Yeah. So it sounds like it was a really good place of belonging, but it was a belonging of like from what you were doing, not so much from, who your family was, but like, hey, this is a person who's an usher and we see them every time, and we like that. That's good.
Yeah.
All right.
Consistency. And it also sort of like felt very parallel to how I sort of was living my life outside of church too, where like you know, because like a Catholic mass is pretty like traditional, same, you kind of like know what to expect, same sort of thing, unless the homily goes wrong and then everyone goes crazy. But like, it's just very like rigid. And, you know, we'd always go to like the early mass, and that was very similar to like, I was always waking up really early for practices. Like, I don't think I ever slept in as a child. And I was always like, had a certain like rules within the house that were pretty like, you know, strict guidelines for like how we were supposed to like be and exist in the house. And so I feel like that sort of just really aligned with what I was used to from my household. So
So it felt homey because of the constraints.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right. So what did your you mentioned your father and mother, and so they're together, they were together.
Yeah, my parents were together and are together. So they are best friends. And yeah, it was I think in the church part of things, it was interesting like watching how like my dad was not really a part of that community or like necessarily wanting to be, and my mother was very much like going through the motions, I guess, like had been doing this for forever, and this is what she knew to have her children be a part of. And so would always commit to that. And so it was just interesting seeing like how they both kind of didn't know what they believed in, but we were told to go into this like space that I thought was, you know, great and very accepting to me, but just noticing how my parents interacted with the Catholic Church and just faith in general, just sort of, I don't know, I hadn't really thought about it then, but like looking back on it now, it's just like interesting how it wasn't quite like a full body experience. It was more just like, oh, when we're here, this makes sense. And when we're not, it's like, we don't really know.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel like your family and mother are still, especially your mother, but are still kind of that way? Like it's like a rote memory kind of thing? Or do you think like over time she's been able to more embody that, or?
I actually like don't know when the last time my mom went to church. I think it was somewhere along the lines of when I left for college, because my sister left and then I left. So when she was an empty nester, I think part of the reason why she went to mass was because my sister and I would go with her. So I think it was more of a, again, sort of that like, you feel accepted when you're there, but it's like, that's really it. It's more the personal thing, not the lesson or the attachment to the specific religion itself. At least that's what it sort of felt like. And so I think, I don't think that has been like much of a priority in my family. It just doesn't seem like that's like what they want to pay attention to. So I never was like, I like to think about it like movies. I know this is a horrible example, but like my parents didn't grow up like exposing me to a lot of movies. So I don't know most of the very good movies. Like if people ask me if I've seen this 9.9 times out of 10, I've probably not seen it. However, I probably know whatever meme and phrase you're associating with and have watched the small 3-minute clip on YouTube. So I get half the stuff. But yeah, I don't remember what that was related to. What was I saying for that? I don't know.
You're just like, you were relating it to the practices of Catholicism for your mother, and how it seemed like that they were going through that process.
Because I didn't grow up in a place where we were talking about religion, inspired by it, or like moved by it. That wasn't a part of my like references. And so like I couldn't like reference the movies because I didn't grow up watching movies. I'm not like a movie watcher. I'm also not like like a religiously led person by my upbringing in nature, it seems. And so, yeah, that was the connection there.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Well, you said your parents work together. Um, do they have like a small business or?
So my father was a family life and divorce lawyer, and my mother was sort of consistently almost like the HR manager of law firms, and so they were sort of connected in that way where, like, if my dad was a partner and had a partner that was going to be going somewhere else, like she would help be the manager of the new law firm and stuff like that. So they never, oh, I'll take that back. They did work in the same office for a small amount of time, but generally speaking, didn't work together, but worked in the same unit, just with different parts of the same unit.
Do you feel, some people with high achieving professional parents, sometimes that could be, classic analogy, nice.
Oh yeah. I actually bought this at a thrift store. I don't know how gross that sounds, but I did buy this for 20 cents at a thrift store. So
good.
There we go.
Nice. Classic. Good investment. Best 20 cents of your life.
That speaks about my personality too.
Thank you. So sometimes with being in a house with high achieving professionals, sometimes there's distance, other times there's not. Like, I've known both families. How did you feel your relation with your parents went?
So I was pretty lucky that my mother at some point, I forget exactly when it was, but I think when I was very young, was not working, and then went back to work for a little bit. But then when I was in like middle school, late elementary school, stopped working again. So having my mom at home all the time was like really good and new. My dad, very much the sports guy, would come to all of our stuff, like biggest, cheerleader on the side. Was my coach for a little bit, in like soccer. I think everyone's dad becomes their coach at some point, right? If they play soccer. And so, like, very involved in that way, but a little bit less involved on like the personal level, other than if it, had something to do with like the fact that he and I have the same birthday. So that was always like a good, like, the story was, always my favorite birthday present. And so it's always very, very sweet. But on like the, very personal side, I didn't feel like I really got to know much about my dad growing up. And so that was like a little bit of a different interaction. Whereas my mom, I feel like I knew probably too much sometimes about my mom. And like my mom probably knew too much, I think, about me too, because I was very much that you ask me a question and if I had any sort of energy, I'm just going to talk at you. Yeah. And then that would come back to bite me sometimes with I'm like, how did you know that? She's like, I told you. Oh, dang it. Why did I tell you that? You're my mother. So had very much different ends of the spectrum there, where it was like not a lot of verbal communication and then like all the verbal communication. But I think on like, just the fundamental level, like I did feel very supported by my parents. I think they got two pretty awesome daughters in the bet of life. And so like, I think we didn't really do much like wrong. I think we were pretty easy for them. I think my sister and I both got like all A's. We're like always on top of everything. Like we monitored our own homework and sleep schedule. And like, we were very much like, I think we were probably pretty easy. But I felt like almost because of that, there was no like, is everything okay? Can we talk about things? And so there wasn't a very like emotional, like deep emotional connection. Like we didn't talk about politics. I didn't know that my parents even voted until like the last time I was voting. I was like, hey, this is kind of crazy, this election. Can we talk about this? Like, and I'm 31, so like I had time to talk to them about this. But it always just stayed very surface level. Whereas I feel like my head is always like in the deepest depths of thinking and feeling. And so I didn't feel like I had a space that wasn't going to be seen as, oh, this is really intense for this space. This is like too much. So I think that's kind of where I've always come from, is like, this is probably going to be too much for whatever room I encounter. I take up way too much physical and metaphysical space, like too much. Yeah.
How growing up through high school or so, what was your relationship with your sister like?
Oh, golly. So my sister and I are, oh gosh, I smile because I miss my sister. So I feel like my idea of my sister and I's relationship growing up is very different from my idea of what my sister and I's relationship growing up was, if that makes any sense. Like looking back on it, I was like, oh, I didn't realize this. So I'm going to kind of speak to it from what I think it actually was. And maybe I'll like throw in. So the point is, my sister and I are very similar in a lot of our ways. And we liked and were drawn to a lot of the similar things. And what I realized is that we were always kind of doing the same things and together. And I'm the younger sister who is like this deep thinker, bubbly personality, like very much like intense, in your face, can talk to a rock type of person, and incredibly talented at all the things that I did. And as an older sister to that, I think that there was a lot of comparison and feeling like I was encroaching on her spaces, and a lot of just like self-esteem sort of issue. And I think as a child, I thought, I love doing everything with my sister. Like, she's so cool. Like, she can like show me how to do all this stuff. Like, and she's like there when I'm like excelling. And so I love that she like, because I looked up to her and I want her to like know how awesome I am and that I'm doing these things because I'm inspired by her. And like, that was sad. Oh, I don't think I'm going to cry, but who knows?
It's all right.
Sad. It was sad thinking that she did not feel the same way about those things. She, I think, was very resentful towards me because of a lot of these things, very much like, I need my own life. And I think I'm at the point now where I am like disappointed I didn't know that. And I don't want to blame it on my sister, obviously. And I also don't want to blame it necessarily on my parents, but I think because of that disconnect of being able to ask, like, is everything okay? Even in the family system, I feel like if my sister had someone to talk to about these feelings that she was having towards someone that like you're supposed to just love unconditionally, then we'd probably be in a better place now. But from my experience, I think there was just a lot of comparison, a lot of unspoken like frustrations that I didn't realize, again, that was happening until I was like in college. And I came home, or my sister went to UVA, and she went to UVA, and she was like so happy being there. And I had applied to UVA, and I also applied to UNC, which is where I ended up going to school. And UNC was like my top choice. I really wanted to go there. And I remember being in the same room as my sister when I got the UVA acceptance, and I said, "That's awesome. I hope that I get the same for like UNC." And it was like that last straw of me basically saying like, I want to do something better than you and go to an out of state university. And like, where I feel like it just sort of showed me like, oh, she thinks I'm trying to one up her on everything in life. And she didn't hug me when she went back to college that year, and that was tough. So it was like,
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, that's tough. That's so interesting because it's just like you just adored her. Like, like you just like love, like you're like, I want to be around you. You're so cool. You're my older sister, and just wanting to just be like, look at me, I'm being able to do it. Aren't you proud of me, big sis? And she's just like, man, my little sister's being able to do everything I can and better.
yes.
This is so annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, that's really, and just for those of you who out there, UVA, University of Virginia, right?
Yes.
And then UNC, University of North Carolina. So
correct.
Yeah, just define your terms. What do you
go
mean?
Tar Heels?
Yeah. Yeah. Side note: why do they have a ram if they're a Tar Heel?
You know what? I have no idea. I'm not even going to like even try, because I feel like I asked people at UNC and I've heard 12 different stories. So I don't know.
All right. Getting back on track. Focus. All right. The growing up, you got the woods behind you, make believe, going out, playing, building forts, doing all that. Competitive house. And you've mentioned sports a fair number of times, specifically soccer, swimming. When did that when did that commandeer your life?
Sports?
Yeah. When official sports,
Yeah. So I feel like I first started swimming when I was like 3 or 4.
Wow.
Because my parents, so like I said, my mom, she went to college, St. Bonaventure. She swam in college. And then my dad was like, I don't know, up until he was like 16, was probably like top of the state in all things swimming. Same with my uncle. So swimming was sort of like in our blood. And I actually grew up in the same town that my dad had grown up in. And so we swam for the same swim team that my dad had swam for when he was a kid. And so I was, swimming in the same pool that my dad was, who was on these record boards. And so essentially swimming was like our family thing. Like there's even, I don't know if you want to look it up one time. I don't know if it's still there, but we had a newspaper journalist come by and talk about the Goldsby dynasty, which was like me and my sister and my dad and my uncle, like all being on the same record board together. So like swimming from as early as I can remember was like my life. And it like related to my family in such a deep and meaningful way. So kind of forever sports were a part of my life, especially swimming. So
yeah. And swimming is like that is a sport, especially once you start like traveling and doing like the meets. That's kind of like a special little ecosystem, right? Like,
oh yeah, like I remember I would come back to school in the fall, and everyone would, they'd say, the teacher would ask, what did everyone do this summer? Like, what cool places did you go to? And I never went anywhere because I was always at the pool. Like, I didn't do anything this summer. Like, what are you talking about, Miss Rose? I didn't do anything this summer. I just swam. Is that not what other people do? And so it was just interesting to realize that most people that I spent my time with had no idea what sort of like, I don't want to call it a cult energy, but it definitely is like a very elite. It feels very elite. It feels like you're part of something. But what I feel like was the best part of that is I got to see people from 4-year-olds to 18-year-olds interacting, and then all of their parents and grandparents all at once, all the time. So it felt like I lived in a village, growing up. And people, again, just like that sort of church aspect, I felt known. I would enter in and I was part of the Goldsby dynasty. Of course I was going to be known. But yeah, something about that was very, very special. But
yeah. And is that because you say you were competitive in that, is that kind of what was motivating you? It was like, I want to be known, or what, in terms of what drove you to do well? Because swimming's like a lot of laps, it's pretty repetitive from what I gather.
Yeah. It's so funny, like post hoc looking at it, I'm sure I could come up with a million reasons why I was doing the things I was doing, but I don't know an answer for sure. And that's what makes, I was probably just doing it because it felt right. I don't think I was ever trying to do anything, actually. I think I was just this makes sense in my life. I was like, oh yeah, of course, sure. Of course I'll ride my bike to the pool every day. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't need a car. That doesn't matter. Or of course I'll whatever. I can't even come up with a reasonable excuse. It was just, that was my life and I was all in it.
Yeah. That was in a non vertical manner. That was your church, right? That was your community. That was where you spent your time, and so just being a part of that and doing what that community thought was the good and the noble was what you're taking part in. Nice. All right. So we're playing in the backyard and we're going to swimming practice, part of your swimming dynasty. Grade school, middle school, high school, anything in there that has shaped you in amazing and wonderful ways, or unamazing and wonderful ways?
I guess I loved school. I think I don't know a lot of people who say that, but I loved grade school. I feel like I peaked in grade school because it just made so much sense to me in the way of how to be in it. I feel like I was friends with everybody. I felt like I knew how to do the homework and the things came really easy to me and I could go above and beyond and stuff. And I could, go down any hallway and involve myself in a new conversation. And I really liked that aspect and I could kind of choose to do whatever. I was in Annie in elementary school. I was Miss Hannigan and I learned I could sing and act and I loved that. I was in the marching band and realized I could make fart noises on a tuba and that was fun for me. And so it was more fun for my mom. Man, the first 2 weeks of practicing, my mom would have to put a pillow to her face. She was snorting so loud. If you've ever heard a tuba player play poorly, it's literally just fart noises. So, yeah, I don't know.
Your trumpet, you've brought your trumpet onto a live stream, so
Yeah, it's more practical. I don't know why I'm telling myself that it is, because it definitely isn't. If you suck at trumpet, it doesn't make it more practical than being good at tuba. Like it's all kind of impractical. But yeah,
so tuba was your instrument.
Yes. Yeah.
That's so weird.
My best friend from elementary school, she played the flute, or I guess at the time was like a piccolo, and I like loved her and was like, I want to do what she's doing. I want to be a piccolo player. And so I go in there, and Miss Stradle, oh gosh, she was funny. I was like, Miss Stradle, I really want to play the piccolo. And she said, no, we have too many. And I was like, okay, what's the next best thing? I guess I'll play like a clarinet. And she's like, okay. And so she gives me like the reed to try to make a sound, and I can't. And then I'm like, okay, well, what's the next? Like saxophone. Can't do it. And essentially I couldn't play anything until I got to the tuba, because I like used to do like hoarse noises where you're just like, right? And so it was like the same thing. And so like obviously immediately I make this like big sound out of it. And she's like, perfect. And I was so disappointed, because my best friend was going to be in the front and I was going to be all the way in the back. And it just was never going to make any sense. Our love would never be revealed. But so I was the tuba girl, and I ended up just loving it. No, people would call me tuba girl. Like that was my nickname. That's what people call me.
That's what people call it.
So yeah, it was a very unique thing for a girl to be able to play. And I think that definitely shaped my high school, especially into college, because I was all about it. I thought I was going to be a music major in college. I played in the marching band all through high school and through college. And yeah, music in that way was like my community again.
So you played music in college?
I did.
Oh, okay. Were you on as a scholarship, or was that just kind of
So I had auditioned for a scholarship to get into UNC for a tuba scholarship, and ended up receiving one under the conditions that I would be a music major. And so I was a music major. And then I realized after playing as like a major, I was losing my like love for music and for being a tubist, if you can imagine that. And so I ended up forfeiting that in order to do another major. And I still ended up getting a music minor, and probably pretty close to a music major too, because I was still I was still in these classes and in these like in the bands and whatnot, but I just wasn't doing it for a grade or for a badge.
Yeah, there wasn't that financial pressure on there. That kind of changes things sometimes.
Oh, for sure.
So big music, and then swimming, did you want to swim in college?
So my sister went away. This is actually great. This actually links. Incredible. So my sister went away to college, and then when she sort of like came back, and I had the whole, I'm waiting for UNC sort of like debacle. And I realized that like I need to be doing like different things, I guess, than like my sister. I sort of knew that like swimming was a thing that I had always done. And so I wanted to do it, but it felt like a lot of the same people. Like I felt like I was meeting similar people when I went to college, and it felt like I was like trying to attach to this idea that, still trying to, vie for the love of my sister or whatever. And so I was like, I'm not going to do swimming. I need to find something else. And then funny enough, my sister was also picking up ultimate frisbee. And so, of course, even though I was like trying to do my own thing, I tried out for ultimate frisbee, and I like make one of the best teams in the country for ultimate frisbee. So I played ultimate frisbee in college. It's essentially the story of that. But I think ultimate frisbee was kind of the thing that, you know what? I feel like it's the thing that is almost like my, like, what is it when you have something that you like want to eat, but like it's bad for you?
Ice cream.
Yeah, well, ice cream, but like, anyways, it's like, it was like the thing that I just couldn't really like step away from. I was like liking it so much, but it always kept like hurting me. And so like I like literally would like physically be like hurt. Like I would get like a concussion or like a back injury or, you know, thumbs or toes or whatever. And I just felt like I was always coming back to it, and it was never accepting me, even in the community space. Like, I just felt like I never sort of like connected fully with that like space either. And I feel like I've been trying to connect to it kind of ever since. And yeah, I just think that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that until now, of like, wow, this has like been giving me a lot of reason to never go back. And I keep trying to do something with it.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Like what about the ultimate allures you?
Well, I think when I first learned about it, I was like, man, what a Christian sport. Because like it just felt like, because it was like self-officiating, and like you couldn't like score without, you know, someone else in your team. Like it was very like, I don't know, it just felt very like prim and proper like that. I don't know why I say Christians are prim and proper, but it was like something along those lines was the idea. But then you meet everyone on the team, and everyone is an atheist, and everyone has like does mushrooms every 3 days or whatever. And so it's like very much not that. However, I think it's still the most Christian sport like I've ever like thought about in my life. And I even talked about that to like, I was going to a Catholic little chapel in college, and I was talking to the friar who was there, and I was saying how this is just like such a sport, a Christian sport. And so when I went on an evangelization trip to Italy, and we like, I got to teach ultimate frisbee in Italy, and we talked about the like how Christian this sport was. And so I got to like talk about this, and we gave the Pope of ultimate frisbee. Like,
you met the Pope and you gave him a frisbee?
My roommate met the Pope and gave him an ultimate frisbee.
Way to bury the lead. Oh, just kidding.
So if it wasn't the most Christian sport, it is now. Like it is now. So I don't know, something about it. I always felt like it was, I don't know, I was able to sort of connect to other people in a way that made me feel that community that I never really felt like I was like, I don't know, always a part of. Like, I feel like I was always a part of it, but it was missing something, always a part of it, missing something. And ultimate seems to just be another iteration of like, always a part of it, but like there was like something I was always sort of like seeking within it. But yeah, so that's what's drawing me, I guess, again and again to ultimate.
So what's drawing you is the allure of finding that piece of belonging.
I think so. Because yeah, I've always just sort of felt like there was something missing in my connection to the room. And I didn't know if it was like my fault, or even that I had to put fault into it. But I always felt like I was the person who was trying to adjust to it, and it was not working out. And so is that because I was adjusting poorly, or was in the wrong like presence even still, or still on the same like plane and I wasn't looking up or whatever? Or was it like something else? Like, what did I just not find my, I don't know, my thriving place? But yeah, that sort of has felt like is the, I don't know, underlying theme of my life to a large extent.
That idea of being in a place but not fully belonging to it, is that what you're saying is the underlying?
Like I I feel like I can always propositionally make a list as to why I fit perfectly in every place, or why my like the tools or the skills that I have fit and match every single place that I like find myself in. Like, I don't feel like I'm in the wrong place. I just feel like I'm in it wrongly or something, or it's not like meshing for whatever reason. I feel like it's the embodiment part of that
Mhm.
I don't know what the essence behind it is. Like, even though I have all these lists, like, what is it? Claire talks about the like opportunity cost. You make like the yeses and those lists or whatever. Like, I feel like I have so many like reasons to say, yes, I belong in this room. But then the one no is like, I don't feel like I belong in this room. And it's like where does that come from? Like what is that? And I think that's like I'm coming to realize that I think that's a me issue. Like, I think that's a me thing. And it's a connection that I don't feel like I ever truly invested in. And that's why I think I'm in this space of TLC, because I feel like it's a spiritual place. Like, I feel like I stepped away, like, going to the whole history or whatever. I stepped away after college, after doing all this, like, being involved in the church, and like my roommate, like I was surrounded by people who were like talking about Jesus all the time. And like, we were like doing like, praying before our meals. Like it was a part of it. And yet I still felt like I was, again, similar to like my mom, just sort of like going through these motions. And from the surface level, like it looked like I believed in all these things, but I just like didn't know. I still didn't feel like I like belonged in that room. And so I think that's what I see this space of being, is being able to like, I don't know, figure out that missing piece so that I know what room I'm going to be in, or I don't know, the metaphor sort of breaks down, but
Sure.
like,
Whatever, going forward, whatever room you are in, you already have that piece with you.
right. Like finding what actually matters. Like, is it the room that matters? Like, maybe I'm looking at the wrong list of things, or what, like, or a weird aspect of the room, I don't know, trying to, and so hearing you guys like talk about stuff like that's helping you see the room differently.
So going back, kind of backtracking to help understand this thought, like I think there's some rich ground there. I'll come back to it. You were saying like with your roommates in college and stuff, you were praying. How did moving away to college, oftentimes for people's spiritual lives, that's a time of change and tumult. Or sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's a time of consistency. How did that work for you coming out of your very liturgical, you belong because it's happening space, but not really getting very deep into that, then going into college?
I guess I'll like sort of answer by saying that, like, so I had that, I guess I'll say the incident like with my sister. And then I realized like pretty quickly after I went off to college, very quickly, that My mom wasn't going to church anymore. I had sort of been exposed to my dad's like alcoholism, which I didn't really realize was a thing like growing up too. So I feel like in transitioning over to college and being away from all my friends and then being away from my family, but then also realizing that a lot of what my family structure was sort of like falling apart in front of me, or the images that I had of them were like, they changed so drastically, and then I left. And so I just was like left with like thinking about everything that I had like seen and experienced, and none of it made sense. And so I think luckily I came into college and I did like a learning living community is what they're called, where you kind of have to apply and you like meet certain criteria. Like you have like a monthly meeting about things, and it's like, I don't know, just something that you can put on your resume for later. That's to say that you weren't just living somewhere, you were like also growing in your living space. But I lived in a substance-free community, and I met my roommate sort of like through like a 5 questionnaire, basically like, when do you go to sleep? When do you wake up? Do you smoke? Do you go to church? Like whatever. And we got paired up. And so I was like, luckily in a space where it was very pure. Like nothing was really, I wasn't getting the, you know, the experience of the freshman where you just sort of like go crazy, even though my sense of self was like it had like exploded. I think I was luckily in such a safe, like pure place that I wasn't affected as much as I think I could have been by this like crazy change. And so I think I didn't know even in college how I felt about religion. But because I didn't have a lot of grounding and I met this wonderful roommate of mine who was like very grounded in her faith, I sort of like clung on to that and used her like energy to continue to do it myself. And so it was really like when I left college and I didn't have that like roommate and I wasn't living, you know, that's when I was like, oh crap, like I don't know what I believe in when it comes to my family, my religion, myself. Like what is this, you know? So that's kind of that's kind of what it was.
Yeah. So then in college, your roommate now was your roommate Catholic as well, or were so they were Catholic, and so that's where you're saying like you talked to the bishop. Was it like a Newman Center or something on campus?
Yeah.
Or, yeah. Right. So you know these things. And so they so you were like going and working with them and stuff, and then you get on your frisbee team, you get to go, you know, to Italy. You want to share? Like that seems kind of like a crazy story. You want to share on that just a sec, or?
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, my roommate was very involved in the Newman Center. It's crazy that you say that. And like she was like way involved. Like did like the Bible study, the like Wednesday night dinners, like, you know, helped out with essentially everything. And I was like sort of dwindling on my involvement because I was very involved in like the band and stuff. And she had like kind of talked to me about this like fun little trip where only like a select few of people were going to be able to go to Italy to essentially meet with about 400 to 500 similarly aged young adults from all over the world, coming in to do like this big, it was a convention, and we were going to be living the life of St. Francis of Assisi, and like we were going to be in camp, like tents together, and like, you know, go and visit all the places where he visited and read scripture and like, you know, have a great grand time. And I thought that was very interesting and compelling. And I decided to like put my name into it and ended up being one of the ones chosen to go. And it was, I don't know, it was just like an amazing experience. And I don't know how Friar Mike was able to get us into like into the Vatican and like into the Pope's garden, and we were like in it. Like I can't imagine doing that now. I don't know like who he had to know, but it was crazy. And part of what we were doing was like each of the groups, like each of the countries of like the people who were part of this like convention or whatever, they got to have a representative go up and give the Pope something. And so from America, my roommate was the one who gave the frisbees to the Pope, which is nuts. It was crazy.
Which Pope was this?
Pope Francis?
Was it Francis? Or was it who's Benedict?
Benedict? No, I think it was Francis.
Okay.
That's terrible that I don't even know. So bad.
You met the Pope and you don't even know which one.
Gosh, it's okay. If I had said that I had done it, that would have been a different story. I met the man, you know, but I don't even remember his name.
He's just another guy.
Yeah, I mean, he was a homie. He was fine. Like, he was cool. But yeah,
that really is the Franciscan way.
It just shows that like who was I to be going on this? Like, and I didn't know what was going on. Like what is that? Right? Like who deserves to have that experience? Probably not me if I can't even remember who it is, right? And that was telling to me. I was like, oh gosh.
In that trip and in that experience and with your roommate and the Newman stuff and just with your roommate in general, did you feel that sense of something missing as well? Or
you know, that's interesting. I feel like what I realized was that, so, you know, there was groups coming from all over the world. What I realized was that when I was hanging out with people in different countries, I just felt so much more connected to them because we couldn't speak the same language as all the people that I had come on the trip with. Like it was like immediately I had love for these people that I could not do anything other than like sing on a bus with.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I like felt this like connection to the Holy Spirit and to this like idea of church that I hadn't felt. So I actually felt like those were some of the times where I felt the closest to feeling like, oh, that's God, that right there, like what we just did right here. And so it was just interesting that I like didn't see it in the people that I felt like were probably like my closest confidants. Yeah, so that was pretty telling, I think.
Interesting. So we've gotten you through college. You're about to head out on your own. Anything kind of in that framework that you'd like to add, or
other than like I got the opportunity to see the 2017 national championship Tar Heel men's basketball team win the championship, and I got to touch the floor right after they won. Other than that, no, that was the pinnacle of my experience. I was like, what did I learn? I got 2 degrees, but it doesn't matter. I touched that
floor.
That's all that matters.
Still haven't washed your hands since.
Oh no, it's dirty.
2 degrees. All right. What did you get to? Well, you walked across that stage and got 2 pieces of paper,
huh? Biology and exercise sports science.
All right.
And a minor in music.
I like to take my sports and science for exercise all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to be an occupational therapist, so that was sort of the goal.
Mm-hmm. And
didn't end up.
Yeah, and are you an occupational therapist?
I'm not an occupational therapist. No, I was like working for the university. Well, I was working for the planetarium. I don't know if you've ever been to UNC, but they have a nice big planetarium right in the front of their campus. And I worked there during undergrad. And I loved what they were doing because they're like sort of their mission was like accessibility, science accessibility. And so they would like raise all this money to send science like curriculum out to the people. And it was just so awesome. And I got to work there as like a Bill Nye the Science Guy type of like live science weirdo with like funky hair and tie-dye like shirts. And it was awesome. It was really fun. And so when I graduated, I like was like, you know what? I don't know if I want to go straight into like graduate school. I'll take a couple of years and work for Moorhead on like the development and fundraising side. So I can like, I feel like I have the passion for this, and I can talk about it and write about it and ask for money about something that I believe is like worth donating money to. So I ended up doing that. And the reason why I bring that up is because after I worked for a couple of years for the university, COVID happened, and I didn't want to go back to school for a profession where you touch people if I couldn't touch people. And so it was like, so I just stayed in working my like 9 to 5, and kind of never really went back to the idea specifically. But
how, that's like a teaser. How unspecifically?
Okay, I'll go through the whole lineage of this because like, so I feel like so many people are so used to the narrative of like you like graduate and you say, I'm going to be a lawyer, and you do it until you retire. And or at least that's what it was in like my family, right? Like my dad like did it for whatever 30 years, right? And didn't like waver. Maybe he changed law firms, but he was doing like the same thing. And so for me, I feel like every year of my life, I've done a different job. And so I was like working as like doing fundraising for this like awesome planetarium, science outreach. And then I worked for academic advising for UNC. And then I worked for the medical school at UNC doing curricular development for their ultrasound program. And then I worked for Duke, transitioned over to the dark side. I know my dad went to Duke, so that's another little lore. So he said I could go to school at UNC, so it's approved by a Dookie, so we're fine.
He gave his blessing.
It's like hey, my friend's a Dookie. It's okay, like right. So I worked for Duke, and that's when I sort of realized that I was not doing what I wanted to do. And it's not necessarily the occupational part of things, but like specifically, but it was the fact that I wanted to have relationship with people. I wanted to touch people like physically, but also like mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And I wasn't going to be doing that behind a desk making too much money for a 26-year-old. Right. And so I realized that I like didn't see myself when I looked into the mirror. And so wanted to step away, and ended up stepping into sort of like the wellness sector of things when I did, where I'm like studying a lot of like meditation, and I like studied like Reiki, and I got my personal training license, and I've taught, water aerobics and like all these, like I know how to do all these things. And I worked for a country club doing all those things. But I think my goal and what I really want to be doing is I want to do integrative and holistic health as it pertains to like full body wellness. I think so many people think that just going to the gym 3 times a week and like eating limited carbs like means that you're a healthy person. But I feel like if you don't have good interpersonal relationship, or you don't have a good sleep schedule, or you don't eat the good timing of foods, like you're like scheduling, like anything. Like you can come up with anything, because the point is everything you do matters to your health, always. And I know that that sounds like a pressure, but like that's what life I think is supposed to be, is like important and meaningful. And so all the things that you're doing should matter. And so my goal right now is to, I don't know, almost be like an offerer of responsibility. I want to give people autonomy to take responsibility for their own life. And so learning about how to best take care of yourself is sort of been my passion. And I feel like I've finally, within the past few months, as I actually ended up quitting my job, so currently fun employed, I guess, is studying like all of these things and like going through the process of learning how to fast, or learning different types of communication, or trying to talk to my family again, or, you know, like trying to live that so that I can help people in their journeys as well. So while occupational therapists like put in place objects to help people live better in their homes, I want to give people tools in themselves to live better in their lives. So not exactly, but kind of.
Yeah. I see them as very, very related. And yeah, like with all those things that you were learning, right? You mentioned COVID came along, and you're like, I don't want to go into a profession where I can't put your hands on people. Like if you can't do that. But now it seems like you kind of can now again, right? I don't know. And so is
You
that
can. I'm just kidding.
is that then kind of an integration, almost like, with doctors, like you have your MD, which is very medicine heavy, but then you have your DO, uh, doctorate of osteo something pathy or something like that. And that's kind of, they're kind of more of a well-rounded, like looking at the patient more holistically, but they're still able to practice medicine within the United States. Is there something similar for kind of occupational physical therapy trainer, life coach kind of thing?
I mean, there probably is. I guess, I don't know. I feel like I feel like if I was going to talk about like what a firefighter is, people would know exactly like what to do to be like a firefighter. I feel like even if I was talking about being like a doctor, like there's like the exact path to being like a doctor. And I think something about this, I guess, profession or orientation that I feel like I have, it doesn't feel like there's a particular way of being in it or using it. And so it's like this, it's like hard to talk about because it's not as tangible. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And so I almost think that it, like my personality, I feel like I need nuggets to connect to. And so I feel like I would be just seeing the different nuggets and finding the connection for people, like allowing that connection to like happen. And so I almost feel like I would need like to be a supplement to, a country club who has all these personal trainers, right? It's like, oh, they're doing this training and they're not getting the results they need. Maybe they can talk to Megan for an hour and see if there's something different in their structure of the way that they live that might actually get them to the results that they need. It's like there's something about needing almost those like little pieces of grounding for this profession to have any context. But I think I'm almost like I want to bring the context to people.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, hopefully you're able to find the space that allows you to do that. That's always, I guess, the tough part, huh? You said you quit your job recently. What were you doing? What was that most recent one?
So I ended up working at a local country club as their, I'd like to say I'm like the jack of all trades. Like I did some of like concierge work where I'm like in the front administrative type of stuff, making people coffee, saying the niceties, all that kind of stuff. And then I would like teach classes and do personal trainings, kind of like all over the place, helped with like the kids stuff. Um, and it was all the things that I really enjoyed doing. It was just in a place where I felt like I was sort of like following a, um, I don't know, like a value system that I didn't quite like align with. And so I liked necessarily like a lot of the particulars of what I was doing, but I didn't feel like it was like coming from a good like spirit or a type of spirit that I wanted to be like associated with, I guess.
What was that? What was that value system that you're feeling it was coming from?
I mean, I think just like the get them in, get them out, get the money, um, just kind of do what is like expected of you and like nothing more. And like I don't know, I like for example, like I never had two clients in a row because I never want to not have the opportunity to extend my time with a client if they needed it. And so that might come off as like, hey, you could have fit three more clients in your day and made twice as much money. But like that never mattered to me. And so that like, because like the connection I was making with my client to be able to like have a better session next time was the only thing that mattered to me. And just seeing that that was not the like the value system and that I was almost like, I don't know, I just didn't feel, again, I feel like I was looking at the wrong thing, but I know that that was not the wrong thing. Like for me, I would never say that that was the wrong thing, but compared to what they were doing, it felt like I was the odd one out.
Hmm. But you didn't. Do you ever feel pressure from them to kind of change and book more clients and stuff, or?
Um, I mean, I guess not necessarily like verbally, like they weren't saying like, well, you should, but it would always sort of come up. Like it always was like, it was obvious when I would like kind of talk to my client after and they were like, okay, bye. Okay, hi. Like, right, you know, because they're all sort of like a transition in the same place. And it just, I don't know. I'm a big believer in like you are what you eat, you are what you ingest, you are what you surround yourself with. And I think I just started seeing myself like with a client, like looking at the clock. And I was like, why am I looking at the clock right now? Like, why does this matter? Like, this is, I want to be present. And so I felt like I was losing my presence. And so then my intention seemed to be off. I felt like I couldn't escape it after, you know, 2.5 years or whatever. And so I like felt like I was sort of losing that ability to just be with people,
Mhm.
which is what I want. Because you can't see past the surface if you're just like, I don't know, if you're not just like present with it. So
Yeah, yeah. Um, Looking back now that you're kind of older, and especially as you're taking on this holistic mindset of like wanting to help people. You mentioned your dad's alcoholism and stuff. Like, was that something that came evident later on in life, or did that impact you growing up?
um I feel like when I was growing up, I didn't really see my dad as like uh I don't even want to stigmatize it, but like an issue in that way. Like I didn't really like we just never had alcohol in the house. Like my mom didn't drink. So it was really just like a non-conversation thing. My understanding was that for most of my childhood, my father was sober. So I don't really remember that being, you know, I never felt like in danger or like it didn't ever seem like there was like a problem. I think I started noticing it when, again, sort of like at the end of high school and then into like, I guess, college and out of college. That's when I was like, oh, this is like a thing. Like I know that like dad has told me and Jess that like, or my sister, that if we, if we do drink, like there's always a possibility that we could have the same disease, as my father. And so that's, why I went into substance-free learning community and stuff like that. So I like believed him, even though I like didn't really see an issue with it. Like I believed what he was saying, but I didn't really like know anything. But then I guess when I started like realizing that that was like a thing, I was like, oh gosh, that's like really intense. And I think turning point for me was actually when I realized that I think I have the same tendencies as my dad. Not necessarily in the I'm an alcoholic or I have a problem with X, Y, or Z type of like vice. It was just the fact that anything could be my vice at like any time. Like I could be obsessed about anything at a unhealthy level if I was in the right state of mind. And so just and realizing that that was something that I saw in everybody that I was hanging out with, like whether they drank alcohol or not, they were all exhibiting the same sort of addict or addiction like tendencies that I was like worried about in myself. And I think that's why I kind of want to go into this integrative health realm, is because I think that there's something with our, like, not just like with overeating and whatever and exercise, but like there's something deeper that's like causing these addictive behaviors. That's like more the disease that I'm talking about. And I want to focus on like helping people get to the disease through looking at the symptoms, sure, but we're not just gonna look at each of the symptoms. I want something like deeper. And that's why I feel like I am with myself. Like I'm trying to figure out like, what is it, that thing that I'm missing that causes me to have the same sort of like tendencies that my, father has, or anyone else in the TLC has talked about too. It's like something there.
Can it be, maybe not, I don't know, I'm just can it be both a like if it's taken too far, a disease, but also like a superpower in some ways, right? Like you have been according to world standards, right? According to the materialistic standards, you've been very successful. And I'd say some of that probably be like you're focused at school, you're focused at band, you're focused on being a part of the community housing, you're focused on ultimate frisbee, even though it kept beating you up,
No, this is, Eolson, this is the question. This is it. Because I feel like I have been trying to ask myself this type of question for like the past like 5 years. Like, I think I'm trying to determine whether what I was doing or how I was being or how I am is like wrong. I'm like trying to prove it wrong in some way because I saw how it affected my sister, because I saw how it affected like my successes. I saw how it affected like people who are comparing themselves to me, or like the men who I was in relationships with, like, or the types of conversations I would have with people. It felt like because of my competence of like knowing what I'm feeling or knowing what's going on in the room or like knowing a specific fact, it was like it all became a competition. And as someone who grew up in a place of competition, I'm like, I know competition and that's not what I'm doing. However, all of a sudden you're thrown into the midst of a competition. And as someone who's great at competition, I was winning. And so it was like I was not entering in competitively at all. But once it became that way, and that's how I like learned how to deal with things, like I was making things into this like competition. So I don't know if that answers the question, but there's like something about like what is that? I don't know. Like I'm trying to judge myself as to whether I was doing it right, whether I actually was of pure intention just living my life. Because now, as I'm post hoc trying to rationalize everything, I'm realizing that that is the only thing I'm not doing is living, when I'm just thinking about whether I did or did not do something, and whether I did it or did not do it in the right frame of mind. Also, I think someone is jackhammering.
It's all right. My son's yelling in the other room, so
Great.
like, is that then a competition with yourself?
Um, I feel like, hopefully you can still hear me. I feel like,
You're good.
I don't know. So swimming is one of those sports where it's just you against the pool. Like you could have two swimmers who are like the exact same, they practice the same body type, same whatever. But if one wants it more, they win, right? There's like, or like I play professional disc golf. And so I transitioned from ultimate to disc golf because you don't tear your ACL, which is what I did playing ultimate. And like it's you against the course, it's you against your own mind. And so it's like just constantly realizing that it's just me against my own mind all the time, and that I'm very good at that. I'm very good at, and so I almost actually see that as a superpower. I don't actually find that to be a neurotic thing. I think for a long time, you know, you're told like, well, first of all, I think women are just told that they're neurotic, which is probably not, probably fair enough in a lot of senses. But I think, I don't know, I like that I can question myself and my motives and what I'm doing, and then also compare it to what I'm seeing in front of me and how it's being presented to me and the world that's encompassing this like interaction. I feel like I can see all of that almost to like a fault at times, that I can like overthink it. But I don't know. I wanna have the most information I can about it to make the best judgment on it.
Yeah, no, that's good. Wow, that's good stuff, and I hope you well in this journey, right? Like as you're going through and you're discovering it, like this, it's not easy. So I hope you well. Um, you've talked about kind of, you meant you a little bit in other streams and other things you've done, how you feel like how you were trained, and you just kind of touched on it just now, how you were trained as a female to interact with the world, and how you're kind of wrestling with that. You wanna Is that something you want to unpack, or next question?
Sure. No, this is, I mean, I think this is, you know, a lot of my issue, I think, is like, you know, finding where I am in the room, and then almost like finding who I am where I am in the room.
Mhm.
And I think I've started to like find where my position is, but then I'm like realizing that I'm a woman in this position, and that also like matters. Like if someone else was sitting in this seat, it would also be different. And so I'm sort of like moving into that aspect. And like, you know, I think I've touched on this before, of like feeling like I was told the narrative of you can do anything a man can do, and like women in STEM and women in sports, and like I very much like bought into that ideal, because I do, to like a large extent, like believe those ideas, but I didn't realize that there's like a difference for like a long time, because I think there was also the like everything that everyone does is like equal, and so trying to separate those things has been like hard, because I need to realize that when I step into an arena, even at like a disc golf course, like if I'm stepping onto a disc golf course and I'm playing against like a guy and we throw the same distance and putt the same or whatever, we're still like seen very different. The sport for us is like very different. And so just realizing that he's probably told a narrative and I'm probably told a narrative, and then he's experienced something different and I've experienced something different. And so just realizing that just because I do or say the same thing that like you would say on like a live stream, it would mean something totally different. Even if we were coming from a similar vantage point, like if you had grown up in the Catholic Church or whatever, like it doesn't matter. Just the fact that you're a man and I'm a woman, there is a difference there. And trying to like realize that without like condemning it, I guess, in any ways. Like I'm not trying to say that one is better and one is not, but I think without like realizing the differences, like I feel like I'm not complimenting the space. I feel like I'm not making those connections as well. I feel like I'm filtering out the things I'm seeing and then am like not engaging with them honestly and genuinely. And so until I'm able to realize that when I say something, it like is different than when someone else says something, like I'm not going to be able to get the proper feedback. And so I think the male and female thing has been just like a big topic for me, but it sort of relates to that sort of like finding out who I am in relation to the room.
Yeah, like sorry, I'll interject a little bit of my story, but just like I took a course on female history, and it was almost all.
So you know everything.
Also, I don't know anything. That's what I came to a conclusion.
We're all going to Eolson about women. Got
it. Don't do that. I did terrible in that class, and it's just because, again, like you were saying, like there is a fundamental difference of how, generally speaking, females view the world versus how males view the world. And like, growing up, I was like, oh yeah, they're different, but we're basically the same. There's kind of difference. But then like taking that course, and it was just like, wow, like they're approaching these texts completely different and reading into them situations and ideas that I had never like thought of. And I was just like, wow, that's amazing. Like it was literally amazing how different we could read the same text. And like I pick out a little bit of stuff and they're like, there's all this depth in what they're reading. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Anyways, so yeah. The fact that we get told we're the same for so long, and whatever you can do, I can do. And we're not, there's differences.
And I just want to add that I feel like that narrative, it doesn't just take away, at least for me, from my perspective, it doesn't just take away the femininity of women. I think it ultimately takes away the masculinity of men too. Like it takes away that necessary difference that like creates that complementary of like, I don't know. I found that it was a very like poor thing for the system to do for me. And, again, I don't want to blame it necessarily, but I don't know. That was a very convincing narrative that seemed to lead to a lot of misunderstandings, especially in my relationships with not just men, but also women. Because like what I was told about them and when I was interacting with them, like on both sides, it was mixed up. They were missing each other. Like what I was believing to be true in the moment when I'm in front of the person was so different than like what I was being told. And I didn't know who to believe. And that's the same thing I feel like I'm encountering with myself, where I'm like, people are telling me even online, like Brett said something nice about me this morning. And I was like, me? Like what? Like that like I didn't see myself in what he was saying. And not as like oh gosh, like, please tell me more about like this. Like, I don't believe it. It's like, no, I actually was like, oh, okay. He's giving me a different perspective on this. Like, I did not see that. And that's just, I don't know. That's like, it's penetrating a lot of the stories that I feel like I was told growing up. Oh, corn.
Yeah, sorry. I muted because of the background noise. Sorry. Yeah, and you just, and is that part of like you were talking about earlier? Like, I forget. I'm gonna rephrase it incorrectly, but like, you're afraid of filling the room incorrectly. Is that kind of part of that?
Yeah. So I think this is how I learned that I had encountered my father's like alcoholism, even if I didn't remember encountering my father's alcoholism, is that I think the way I grew up, I was always basing myself on a room that I needed to fit into properly instead of a room where I could just be. There was always like a certain standard that was like, I like to call it now, like the most chaotic energy in the room is like guiding it. And so I think I am noticing the most chaotic energy in the room and then forming to it and around it. And so that's why I think I'm like so worried about fitting, like being in the community correctly, is because I'm like trying to get like what's the most chaotic energy. And so that's where I think I'm missing the mark, is because I don't think that's actually how you're supposed to do it. I think you're supposed to enter in as you are. And I'm realizing that my compulsive nature is to immediately address what the room needs, and then I'm going to filter myself into it. And so like, I feel like I'm on one side trying to figure out where I am in the room to see if I like fit, which is good, but it's a slippery slope for my addiction of having to fit a certain role in the room and molding myself into it instead of showing up and being in the room. And so it's like in my individuation process, I feel like I'm almost sometimes leaning too much again into that compulsive addictive tendency to, I don't know, not be myself.
Yeah. So then coming in, so we have the TLC, this little corner, and this little internet space, how do you feel you're coming into it? Like, first, I guess you probably want like a little bit of brief history. How did you get into it? And then do you feel that same tension? Like, one thing you used to always talk about is like tension. And are you feeling that in the space? What's going on there? So you have a lot of runway there. Sorry.
Yeah. So starting in like my journey of just trying to figure myself out, I did a lot of reading of, Jordan Peterson and McGilchrist, and listened to some Jordan Hall and Pajot, and didn't listen too much on like PBK. But I was also in
about how long ago was this?
I guess I started getting like serious about it maybe like three and a half years ago.
Okay.
And part of that was because I was in a like deep rooted, probably too complicated relationship with a man who was also very interested in a lot of these things, and had encountered some PBK stuff, some like Luke Thompson stuff. And so sort of introduced me to that sort of space, like some OG Rose stuff. And so that's kind of how I got involved. And even just watching these things is because him and I would like send videos back to each other about anything that we were like watching on YouTube or whatever. But ultimately that like those ideas and that TLC space almost felt like his stuff. Like it almost felt like what he was paying attention to, and I was just like supportive. And then once that relationship sort of like fell away, I didn't feel comfortable going into a space that I thought was his. And then as like entering like, and just like watching every once in a while and realizing how much I felt like I was understanding what was going on, and that you guys had a lot of the same like language, speaking the same language that I was about some things, and the fact that there was like some morning shows and I needed something that I wanted to like really commit to. I started, I don't even know how it actually started, but it's like started showing up and actually commenting, and like, and then realizing that I think I watched something that Ethan and Neil did, where Neil was talking about just sort of like what the TLC was sort of like to him. And I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, like this is like a playground, but like if you're on the outside of the playground, you don't know what it's like to be playing in there. Like you can listen and hear, and you're like, wow, they must be having so much fun, and you can like come up with ideas of like what it's like to be playing in there. But if you're not in there, you're like not playing in there. And so then I realized, like, if I'm going to, I can totally stay on the lurk and just be on the outside for like years and years and get whatever out of it. Like I'm still learning a lot of stuff. But I was like, unless I like say something or like put up a video or God forbid one day get on the stream, I was terrified to do that. Still am terrified.
What was your first one? Do you remember?
I mean, I think technically I talked to Claire first. Technically I talked to Claire first on her live stream, but luckily only like 2 people, I think, saw it in real time. No, it was like Jeff and Teo were all on there, but that's funny. Yeah. But yeah, I realized that until you are like in it, it like is not going to make sense. Like until you're in that room. And as soon as I got in it, that's when I really was like, I know this sounds so weird because I don't know you, Olsen, but I was like, I like love these guys. Like I actually felt like I was like, I think I would feel very comfortable saying that these are my brothers. Like I don't think I would ever like hesitate to say that, which sounded so weird when I said it out loud and like heard myself say it, but like that was like the turning point for me where I was like, man, this is like something I've not felt. And like Brett calling me Ms. B every time I would come in, I was like, I don't know what this is, but I feel like I'd never watched Cheers, but like want to go where everyone knows your name. Like it just like, it was calling to me.
Good.
So yeah.
That's insane. So in coming into this space, are you feeling that same sense of something missing, or which you can, it's totally all right, like, you know, or is it different?
So I think I'm still feeling a little bit of that something missing, but I don't feel it in a way of like helplessness or hopelessness that seemed to be tied onto it. Like I feel like okay in my missingness. Like I feel okay. I feel safe in not being whole or something like that. Like, and I feel encouraged to continue to wake up in the morning and have conversations, or like I still need to figure out where you live, but I'm going to be visiting like Scott and Brett when I go visit my family, right? It's like, I would never think I would be encouraged to do something like that, like meet, like, I mean, you're not strangers, but like meet strangers from the internet. When I'm not feeling like 100% good about myself and what I believe to be good and like how to say yes and no, right? Like, it's like but I feel very like, I don't know, I feel safe in my discomfort. And so I still think that there's something missing, but I actually feel like I have a place where I can find it. Or at least, I don't know, at least right now I do.
Yeah. I think maybe the space is a space for people still looking, and that's kind of maybe part of it too, is like, you don't got to be all put together because we're all messed up.
But that's, and I think maybe it's because I've found a space that feels the way that I feel like I treat other people, where like I feel like I don't want people to show up to me perfect. Like, I finally feel like I can show up the way if I was talking to myself and I was a stranger. I finally feel like I can be like just rolled out of bed and talking about really deep issues, and it like doesn't matter. I don't know, like but it matters so much, but it doesn't matter at all. And I feel like it makes sense to me. This is what it is. Okay, so I feel like whenever something doesn't make sense to me, not like, oh, it's so out of my realm of understanding, because like that's the world. Like, I'm just gonna say that, but like more like if it just doesn't seem to like vibe, if there's noise, if there's like friction, like I feel like I have to convince myself of it. And whenever I'm at like peace or integrated with something, I don't have to explain it. It just like is. So I think when I'm in this TLC space, or at least some of the ones where I'm actually really engaging with, I don't feel like I have to convince myself, oh, that was the right thing that I like went on the stream with Eolson today and we talked about. Like, I never have those conversations in my head. It just like was, and then I do my day, and then I like get excited the next time I see the little Eolson thing like pop up, and then it just like makes sense. It's not like I'm like convincing myself that this would be a 0.2% higher of my life if I could like go to this. No, like it didn't.
Yeah.
I don't think about it like that. And I think that's the beauty of the space for me, is like, I don't have to convince myself that it's a right thing to do. Even if it's wrong, even if it's the wrong thing to do, I don't have to convince myself of it.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I like that. You mentioned, kind of looping back on some other stuff, you've mentioned injuries a couple times, especially in relation to your ultimate frisbee. But I feel like somewhere recently you mentioned like having a back injury that kind of really took you out for a while, being in a lot of pain, and then you mentioned ACL, and I know that's a big thing as well. How have these physical injuries and pain impacted you? Go.
Oh yeah. So I grew up playing the tuba, right? And then the marching part of a tuba is a sousaphone, and the sousaphone is 45 pounds just like on your back. And so I was wearing like 45 pounds on my back for like hours and hours and hours as like a developing young woman. And like, moving from side to side and running up hills and like being all crazy. And so I think a lot of my developing years, I had a lot of compression on my back. So I think I sort of like realized that was like something that was happening. I hurt my back when I was a sophomore in college. It's a pretty gnarly story. Essentially, because I lived out of state, I was in the dorms, like kind of like by myself, during like a winter break sort of time. And I was like in the shower, bent down, and basically got a herniated disc in my back. And I was like by myself in the dorm, had to like army crawl down the hallway, just like butt naked. Like, and the first person I called was my mom, not like 911 or like a taxi, because it was a blizzard outside. And I was like, no one's going to be able to get me. And so I ended up like putting on like a layer of clothing, and like took me 2 hours to walk a quarter of a mile to student health. And they basically like couldn't help me because they were like, oh, you need to get like an MRI. So then they gave me like all of these like drugs, and I couldn't feel my legs, and it was crazy. It was a crazy experience. But all that to say, I had like experienced like a back injury that took me out of ultimate frisbee for the rest of college. And I think I always sort of had that like back injury proneness. And then fast forward to last year. So when my first injury was like in 15. So fast forward like 10 years essentially. And I was playing ultimate frisbee, and I tore my ACL and my meniscus. And this was right after breaking up with this like guy. Tore my ACL and my meniscus. I was living on a 3rd story walk up with a dog. And I just realized, and I was a personal trainer. And I was doing like, class instructions, and I was like, okay, so everything in my life is just like going to explode. And I don't know, it gave me time to realize that everything that I was, and I thought that I was, like, wasn't anymore. Like, I couldn't live the same way, at least for the next, 6 months.
6 months, yeah.
And that just like really changed my perspective on like how to see outside of yourself. Like, I feel like I was like constantly looking in 3rd person at myself for about 6 months, because like nothing seemed to make sense anymore. But I think it was like one of the best things that could have happened to me, because if I wasn't able to see outside myself, I wouldn't have been able to know, all the downfalls of my like last relationship, all the, inconsistencies I was having like with my family, and what that I liked and didn't like. And I don't know, like when you're stuck in your head all day, when you have like an embodied thing that you have to attend to, the ideas in your head just sort of are not relevant anymore. So it helped me sort of like get out of my own head. And the back thing was essentially 3 months after I tore my ACL, and I was in like rehab. And of course, I'm the most competitive person ever. So I'm going to like rip through this rehab. Like, it's going to be awesome. And I was like way far ahead, and like, I loved going. But then one day I had like something in my hip was like hurting, or at least I thought it was my hip. And essentially it led to about 2.5 months of going to doctors, and then telling me that I'm fine, everything is okay, but I couldn't sleep, I couldn't walk, I couldn't drive. I essentially got to the point where like I had no peripheral vision. It was just so much pain, but they kept on saying that I was okay. Ended up finding out that it was more herniated discs in my back. So I got a back surgery to alleviate those discs, because I was getting a foot drop. I don't know if you know what that is, but essentially if I had my foot and you were to press on it, I wouldn't be able to resist your hand. Like, I wouldn't be able to push my foot back up, which means I wouldn't have been able to like walk or run correctly. So they wanted to get me in as soon as possible. And that definitely changed my perspective on like what matters when it comes to like what you say and what you need in life. Like, if someone didn't come up to me and have something that was like really important to talk to or talk about or attend to, I had no energy for it. And like, if it doesn't actually matter to you, I cannot what does Claire say? Like, I can't do the chit chat right now. This is so not part of the world that matters. And it just had me rethink what I thought mattered. And when I do talk, wanting to make sure that I'm saying only that which is like actually what matters, or if I'm trying to evoke something, or like if it had any sort of direction, I wanted to speak with purpose after that. And so yeah, that was about a year ago.
How's the recovery on the knee and the back and all that?
It's good. I mean, I can do, I would say, probably like 90% of what I could do before, which is I could live the rest of my life and be totally fine with that. I think because of the fact that I had a back injury so close to, or back surgery so close to the knee surgery, I had to kind of stop my PT for almost 3 months. And so I almost kind of started over, and had some pretty bad habits when it came to walking and sleeping, because I had spent so long trying to walk or sleep without pain. So I have a little bit of instability still there, but essentially I'm on the road. I think I'll always be on the road to recovery. But
yeah. And I wonder, did any, like, sometimes with those surgeries and stuff, you could develop, if you're not recovering well, like scar tissue that adds to pain and stuff. Did any of that develop in your knee or your back?
I think that's what's eventually what's happening in my knee at this point, because I feel like I have the full range of motion and everything's good. It's just I still like that the transition between, like, sitting and standing or whatever. I can still feel that it like is having trouble there. But we'll have to see. I'm still like because I wanted to do occupational therapy and I studied this stuff for so long. I want to assume that I can do it a little bit by myself, but I don't want to. I'm not going to be as stubborn as I have been in my past. if it becomes an issue, I have no hesitation. I will say I need help. I've not been good at that in my past, though.
Yeah. All right, I have one more kind of thing I want to hit on, and then I'll open it up to any questions. And then, unfortunately, I kind of got to go on do parental things. But the real star of your channel, we have not discussed, except for one mention going upstairs. Whiskey star. Tell us his story.
Oh my gosh. Whiskey. So he is a COVID puppy. His mother was found on the side of the road with all the little puppies. Unfortunately, she was passed away when they found her and the puppies, but she was a beautiful, like, golden lab, just like beautiful. And my friend at the time was fostering animals. So she was so used to taking in animals, and she took in all of these puppies. Whiskey was the runt and the only golden one. All the other ones are about 20 pounds heavier and black. So he looks very different from his brothers. And I was like, it was during COVID time. So my friend and I, like, we were in the same like bubble, but my other friend, who was the one who had wanted a dog for a long time, heard about this litter and asked if I would go and check out the litter for her. And I said, sure, fine. At the time I was living in a cute little house that had like a fenced in backyard, and like I was watching dogs all the time. So I was like used to dogs or whatever. And I loved dogs. I didn't have any growing up, but I loved them. And so of course I wanted an excuse to go see some puppies. So I went to go see the puppies for my friend, and all of these like little black puppies were all on me. And I kind of want to find it in my phone, but then I saw this one little, like, I called him a little potato because he looked like the fluffiest little brown potato, and he was just squished underneath like the TV, like they had propped up because he had like fallen all the way back and under. He was just so deep into sleep, and he didn't give a crap that I was there. All these other puppies were just like all over or whatever. And I was talking to my, the foster mom about like the puppies and stuff, and the puppies are starting to sort of like calm down. And she said that, oh, well, yeah, the one in the corner there, his name is Beans, and he has had 4 different applications fall through. And I was like, oh, let me go see him. And so I go over and I just like lay next to him, and he like looks up and he just crawls right into my lap and just like falls back asleep, like belly up, like all that kind of stuff. And I said, you know what? I know my friend asked me to come here for her, but this is my dog. Like this is him. This is my dog. And I had grown up with a lab, a golden lab. My friend had a golden lab, and his name was Whiskey, and he was my favorite dog ever. I loved him so much. And I was like, this looks like a mini Whiskey. And so I said, okay, I'm going to call him Whiskey. And I picked him up the next day, and he's been mine ever since.
Love at first sight.
Love at first sight, for sure. And he's just the most unique dog ever, and I love him. He's more human than dog, I think.
Oh yeah, and he just loves playing. What are his loves again for the uninitiated?
Yeah, I like to say that my dog is autistic, and that's great. That's perfect. And his special interests are sticks and balls. He is not into certain textures or like food. Like he's not a big food guy, especially if it's like really crunchy. He almost gets like afraid of it, which is like the weirdest thing for a dog. And like, yeah, he's just like the biggest like teddy bear. And he also is not like a big petter. Like if you go and like pet him, he'll like dodge you. But like he likes it, but he has to choose you. Like if you're sitting and he comes and sits next to you, take that as a big compliment. Take a deep breath and calmly pet him. Like just like let him be there with you. It's not that big of a deal. That's also the biggest deal ever. So.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah. Love seeing Whiskey.
Yeah.
He's great. Love playing. He plays fetch all day, man. I could just watch him play fetch all day. It's so great.
Yeah, I definitely like to say that we play until I get tired, not till he gets tired, because he just doesn't get tired.
Yeah. He's just so much joy in the simple thing, of like playing.
I like to say that if I could feel half as enjoyment over anything, then like as my dog does, just like running after a stick, it's like, then my life would be complete. Honestly, I would feel real love and joy if I could do that.
Yeah. No more holes.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing on Whiskey. Yeah. He's my favorite. Love watching him. Last thing. Just kind of any thoughts or questions you have regarding TLC? Not that I could really tell. I'm not like a historian or anything. But yeah, anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I guess it's just, I feel like I want wisdom as to, this is going to sound silly, but like I've been saying before, like how to fit in the room better, or like, because I recognize that I bring a different perspective into this space. And I also realize that like, I want to be like a spokesperson for my perspective, but not in the way that like takes away from the goal of the TLC. And I think because I don't know specifically like what the goal seems to be, I don't know exactly, again, like how to fit my role. And so it's like, I think that becomes a very like, that's the tension I'm living in, is like, I don't think that they're supposed to be a goal, by the way. But I feel like Propositionally, I don't, but like my body almost feels like there's supposed to be this goal that I have to attend to. And so I think I'm just worried that I'm going to assume the goal wrong all the time. And so like, how do I, how do I release that? Like, how do I, or should I be releasing that? Like, or should I like be playing more by these like abstract rules? Like, what's best for the space, do you think? You know, like,
Yeah, these are good questions. I wish I had good answers. Slightly below mediocre answers. So for me, and so I guess that's all I could speak on is just like I'm entering into the space doing things that I wanted to do, irregardless, like if the TLC existed or not. These are things either I've thought about doing or I've wanted to do, but just didn't have the motivation or the wherewithal, or I don't know, all sorts of different reasons why we don't do things. But so like doing randos, I love just talking to people and getting to know their stories. Like that's like one of my favorite things in life is getting to do that. And so it's a joy getting to be here and talk with you. So thank you so much. Pleasure's here, and getting to do that. And then like the econ thing, right? Like just being able to speak to one or two people about this website that I've been reading for like 15 years now or so, and I've never really had a person to really talk with about it, and just being able to do that, like that's great fun. Like that's something I'd wanted to do anyways, and
yeah.
walking into my little short every day is like I'd wanted to do a journal of gratitude for a long time, and I just never never get sit down to do it. And so just taking those little 3 minutes to reflect on my day and be okay, what are some things I'm thankful for, rejoice about. And so that's been a good thing. And so and then the reading of liturgy on Monday, again, that was something I was already kind of starting to do even before I really learned about the TLC. And so the fact that then people could come alongside and interact with that's even better. So I just think it's like once you're in, you just do the things you're wanting to do, like we're like Scott, right? He films himself doing the gardening, and he's like, I wanted to do this gardening for a long time, but I put it off for years, keeping it up. And he's like, now I have like a little bit of accountability because people are watching me and I want to put it up there and talk but he's doing it, and so it's like I think that's kind of the ethos, right? You look at Jeff P reading through C.S. Lewis,
So
right? That's just something he wanted to do. And then there's Jess and his discussing the book of Job. And he's just like, I just love discussing the book of Job, and he keeps making more videos. And that's great. And you see like Hezi doing some of the prayer things that he does, and Jacob, he seems to be like a real, like he really wants to reach out to all sorts of different people and include them into his sphere, and so he's kind of doing that, going to all sorts of different people and doing that stuff. And so yeah, just kind of whatever you'd want to be doing anyways, and just bring us along for that journey.
Yeah, gosh, that's so true. I mean, it sounds so like obvious when you say it, because it's almost like to be a part of the community, you just have to be yourself essentially, and then like take from it what you will, and people will also do the same. And it's like, that is so interesting to me that that's not like obvious in my body, but like as soon as you said that, I'm like, yeah, of course, obviously I want whatever Olson finds to be exciting. Like that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because like you're showing me who you are by doing econ after dark or whatever. Like, you're just showing me that you're a psychopath that like studies this stuff after 10 p.m. Like, what is that?
Well, I'm Central Time, so it's only 9. So.
Oh, true. Okay. So like, yeah, stuff like that. Like, I think that, yeah, it obviously makes sense to just do it.
Yeah, and like being on live streams, like getting on with Chris in the morning. I used to do that because it was my way of like holding myself accountable to like fold laundry, because that was something my family needed me to do. And I wasn't doing it. And so like if I got
You just
on,
loved it.
and so I got on and I couldn't justify to myself just sitting and talking, right? Like for a while without like having a larger purpose. But if I was sitting there talking to somebody and folding laundry, then I could justify it.
Oh, that makes so much sense now. Yeah. No, yeah, that makes sense. I like that different vantage point of like just do what you would do and like see what happens. Like, yeah, there's a lot of vulnerability in that, unfortunately, or fortunately. So
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to let me grill you with questions and opening yourself up and talk about these hard things, because a lot of it's tough, and I know you're still working through a lot of the stuff, so you don't feel like you have all the answers, and so that always makes it hard to talk about things when you're like, I don't have the answers. I'm still working on this. Come back later.
yeah. To be
Like, no.
determined.
Yeah. No, we want to know now. We want to see what's going on.
But that's what the videos will be for. My journaling through speaking. So.
And it's kind of seems that way, right? It seems that that's kind of been your growth so far through this process. Is those videos kind of seem to be in a way like you're processing that. So that's good. Keep that up.
Yeah.
So your videos, like as you're doing that, I find like wow, like she's thinking about things way good, you know.
Thanks.
And I'm just like, man, that's deep. There's a lot of deep stuff in that. So thank you. Yeah, glad to have you part of the community, and part of the morning people coming up and see. Yeah. So much to be thankful for. So.
Happy to be here, brother. So happy. Really.
Thank you. So, all right. I don't have any like slick branding. I need to come up with slick branding.
Olson, over and out. You should have your son come up with some catchphrase. He seems very witty and clever.
Oh goodness. Don't encourage him.
Yeah, he should give you a catchphrase.
Yeah. It would be something about woof. He likes to add woof
okay.
with the dog. So
cute.
All right. So I'm gonna end it now, and have a great day.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thanks. See you.
Bye.